All right, now for those of you who have raided and are here, let's go on an exercise together. Let's go on an adventure in creating an adventure. This is impromptu. I don't have this pre-scripted. This is my blank canvas. Bob Ross would say this is my pre-stretched, double-primed 18 by 24 canvas with liquid white, and it is wet, slick, and ready to go. And so too are we. What are you doing, bud? By the way, cats will most likely show up on camera at some point. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, you're being a cat. Gotcha. Okay. Now, the holiday that we're going to create some adventures around is called Commemoration. What, as a prompt or a reminder, what is Commemoration? Well, the NPC, or to be more accurate, the villain that we ended up creating as the mascot or the inspiration for the holiday is a green dragon bent on domination and plunder. Her objective or scheme was power, to become the power behind the throne. We rolled that she's a charlatan, one who tries to infiltrate people and get money out of them. As well, she's a barbarian berserker. And so from these prompts, well, green dragon, poison. We have a dragon that invaded the mountain and drove the dwarves out into the hills, where they found the halflings, and they ended up working together. Her talent, that again, these are all random rolls from the DMG. She plays a horn that could be her own, and she probably even drinks from it as well. And so before we even got to the determination that this is some kind of a drinking festival, like an Oktoberfest, like the sake festival out in Japan, and so many others, we had elements of poison, subversion. What can alcohol do to people? It can certainly make them upset and make decisions to break things or other people, as a barbarian would. Angry drunks. You also have philosophical drunks. Her ideal is knowledge. And of course, brewing itself is chock full of history and chemistry and natural sciences. So we have an NPC that we took these clues and said, all right, based on some other autumnal festivals we know, what kind of a festival would this be? A drinking festival. And then we rolled for if it was more of a beer, a wine, or a hard liquor, like a spirit. And we rolled wines. And so we have this dragon who's in the mountain. Oops. Let's get... That's Frostfall. And so here, the point of the holiday is this is more of a dwarven, of the two races that have become like peas and carrots together. More of the dwarves remember this because it drove them from their ancestral homeland, from being mountain dwarves into hill dwarves. But of course that strengthened the Lightfoot halflings to become the stout halflings as well. So it was to enjoy a product of time, patience, and hard work, as well as to remember the dwarves past in their flight and return to their distant mountain. So we came up with, in chat, just in our imagination, all kinds of traditions, taboos. During this festival, no beer, only wine, unless you're a contestant chosen in a competition. Also, the distant mountain cannot be invoked in speech, nor the dragon's name mentioned. Symbols, colors, decorations. We came up with some sayings or greetings that people say. So, you know, we cheer mountain bound, right, as a return to the mountain one day. So when you cheer mountain bound during this holiday, you tell someone tavern's luck, said in parting and well-wishing. We came up with, all we needed were the titles of songs. Let's make the holidays come alive. Scents. Things that you, if you lived here, would commonly associate with this holiday. And so with this as our prompt, we have our villain, we have our holiday breakdown. Now, using this as the backdrop, let's craft a one-shot adventure or the seed for some other grand adventure to take place. Now, I'm going through this part of the DMG, and we're pulling randomly. Honestly, all it takes is one idea with the backdrop that we have to really to come up with great ideas. Let's have some of our newcomers here get in on the rolling. Core Mechanical, would you please type exclamation point 1D3? All right. So this is going to be a dungeon of some kind. Thank you, Core Mechanical. Baloo's Clues, will you please type exclamation point 1D20? Stops on a 6. Retrieve a stolen item hidden in the dungeon. All right, so here we have our premise and our resolution. Premise 1. Resolution 1. The party must retrieve a stolen item hidden in the dungeon. So we have a party. They've visited. They're here in time for Commemoration. And just when they're getting ready to unveil last year's brew that we're enjoying, because it's also a celebration of patience and endurance, they find that the keg of last year's October Ale, I'm gonna invoke Redwall. Last year's keg of October Ale is missing. Of course, it'd be wine, like a mead. October Ale is Redwall. It'd be a mead, a cider, or like a Burgundy wine, a red wine, since this region grows those. Now, who could have done such a thing? Justin, would you please type exclamation point 1D20? Stops on a 12. A humanoid conqueror. A humanoid conqueror stole the keg. Perhaps as a way to weaken the resolve of these people. Or someone, if not conqueror, what if it's someone who aspires to be the mayor? And it's a political move. Where, oh, well, my rival lost last year's October Ale. Follow me. Is you is or is you ain't my constituency. Well, so we have some sort of a ruler or a would-be ruler or a conqueror that is responsible for this. Now, someone, they have to go out and find some clues. Yeah, a competition for the dragon. Chill Jaguar. Chill Jaguar, would you please type exclamation point 1D20? And Xanic, thank you for the follow. Stops on a 13. A deity or a celestial? A deity will guide them to the villain. So they receive some kind of revelation. Good. We have a premise. Zanuck, will you please type exclamation point 1D12? This farming community may very well have a botcha style god or goddess chill. Taking off for the night. All right, Corvus, thanks for hanging out with us. Zanuck rolls a 6 on a D12. All right, I'm gonna scoot this over so I can read, so you all can see this better here. A stranger approaches the characters in a tavern, and we generated a tavern for the setting, and urges them toward the adventure location. It writes itself, everyone. Is there a god of wine? Let's put these two random elements together. So the party is here in town. They're here to celebrate Commemoration, and a stranger walks up to them that is this wine or this other similar style god or goddess. Approaches them, tells them the keg's gone missing. I'm talking to you now because you're strangers here and it won't cause a panic. However, I could use your help in finding the missing keg. Please, I'll reward you if you do so. It's very important for everyone here, and I can pay you heartily for it. I'll even provide a guide. Yeah, it'd be like a Botch's character. Hark, will you please roll a D12, as our mysterious stranger is going to guide our party to meet with an adventure ally in order to find this missing keg. You roll an 8. A raving lunatic. A raving lunatic. So, someone on the outskirts of town, perhaps, who no one believes. If a raving lunatic, in fact, this could even be the town drunkard. Everyone knows that, old maid Sally or whoever is, ever since she lost her husband, she was a widow. She just took to the bottle, and she goes on and she talks, and everyone just kind of leaves her alone because she's just considered to be a drunkard. She abuses that which Commemoration's supposed to honor. But who saw the villain take off with the keg? The one person who no one would believe. So clearly our villain is Bill Murray, because he's just going to show up to a party and whisper in your ear, "No one's going to believe you that I've been here," and then disappear. And so she is the key, and you know what? This is a good time to have a redemption story where this NPC, because of the player's help, she's not the focal point, but she is an inheritor of the good consequences that come from it. Where maybe she breaks her habit, she learns the meaning of the holiday. Aw, her heart grows 3 sizes that day, and not her liver from cirrhosis. All right, now, we're on our adventure. The details will come later. Let's make our skeleton framework. Stream of consciousness. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I want an adventure climax. Victor, would you please type exclamation point 1D12? Also a 6. An ally betrays the adventurers as they're about to achieve their goal. The raving lunatic, perhaps seeing that that things, she hasn't had that redemption yet. the climax of the adventure is that she betrays them, and maybe she wants to join in because she wants that drink, and the villain who has last year's October Ale is willing to freely give it, right? This conqueror needs... The Xerxes needs the, why am I forgetting the Spartan, the misshapen Spartan's betrayer? Xerxes needs him to get through the gates of Thermopylae. Though that's kind of redundant. It's like saying ATM machine, because Thermopylae means hot gates already. So it's the gates of hot gates, apparently. But if you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, so the villain, this conqueror, gets this person on the inside. And she ends up going over in the climax here. And perhaps they make their escape. Even with the ale. And so it must continue. The party must retrieve a stolen item, and now we go from the confrontation above ground into perhaps an underground area, underneath a hill, or even back to the mountain itself, where the villain thinks that he's retreated or wants to be the champion, because, again, for any of you who weren't here for it, choosing a champion is a part of Commemoration as per the holiday. Where he's going to arrive, and he's going to be the one that gets to, propagate or entreat with the green dragon and get power, because he will be the one to make the next dragon born and to hold sway over the village. And of course with the raving lunatic at his side. So they return back to town, and this has happened because they're gonna have to prepare for this. As that happens, but wait, there's more, everyone. But wait, there's more. Oh, Sheeps, will you roll me a D10, please? Lands on an 8. Completing the goal secretly helps the villain. They learn after returning to the village that by bringing back the keg, they end up empowering or helping the villain. This could be because the villain has set up a circumstance where if the keg is returned, he will get the credit. Because they don't have proof that it was Old Man McGillicuddy that stole it. However, Old Man McGillicuddy seems to be ready to take the claim for the returned keg, or if not the returned keg, because if it's still missing at this point in time, like, they know if they did return it, he would still win. Right? The villain has machinations. So how are they going to resolve this adventure? He's held up underground in a dungeon. You know, he has some guards or whatever that are holding on to this because he's using it as a power play. So whether or not, if the keg is missing, he makes the point. I should be the mayor because I can protect our stuff. Look what happened under the old mayor. If the keg is returned, Old Man McGillicuddy comes in, probably undermines the patsy he hired to help steal the keg. I brought the criminal to justice and I've returned our sacred keg. Now you should elect me to be your mayor. What a twist. And so all of this, you know, the party's like, yeah, we're big damn heroes. We're going to go get the keg back. And then they are betrayed by the person who even, they don't know it's a wine goddess yet, but the wine goddess or god or both, you know, ends up turning. Everything seems sour. Everything seems to be going, you know, belly up. And the party hits this low. And they learn that nothing they can do seemingly can beat the villain. Except maybe one thing. Because this is where we have the NPC come back. What are gods but teachers? People who are supposed to show lessons. And to close doors to open windows, to get us to see things differently. To try things differently. And so we get a side quest. What is our side quest? Baloo's Clues, will you please roll a d8? Baloo's Clues, your 8 lands on a 7. Discover the nature and origin of a strange phenomenon in the area. They are then tasked to discover the nature/origin of a strange phenomenon in the area. What could happen? All right, Core Mechanical. What could this be? We have another goal. We have some strange phenomena that take place in this area that could link us in towards link us in towards this here. And if we want to, oh, you know what? We want strange phenomena. What we do when we're building a setting, I'll show you. We have to go someplace nearby that, you know, maybe it's an old haunted house or something like that. Crumb Draw Day. I'll address that in a second. Can you please roll 1d20? And you know what, Crumb Draw Day? The strange phenomena could even be the thing that drove her to drinking. It could be the dragon. It could be grief. It could be a supernatural presence of some kind. Right to, if we find out what touched, old maid Sally's mind beyond just grief. You rolled an 18. A forest of petrified or awakened trees. They're then tasked to discover the nature or origin of the strange phenomena in the area. It seems that some of the apple trees have been producing strange fruit. And Old Maid Sally, or Old Maid Sally's husband, used to be one of the biggest apple farmers. Orchardiers? People who work in orchards, I was gonna say orchids, like the flower. The grapevines are pissed about being harvested. Oh, you know what? It doesn't even have to be trees. If we want it to be grapevines, if we want them to be, the bees have become something different. That's fine. Take these prompts and run with them. Let your imagination go wild. An Old Maid Sally's husband used to be one of the biggest apple farmers around. Upon investigating her now abandoned, remember she ran off, her now abandoned mansion, they discover the trees were cursed by Old Man McGillicuddy, and he's been influencing her by his meddling with the orchard. I'm throwing whatever. We could say we can say Goody, because goodies are wives. Or we can even say something like Good Wife, or in this case it could be maybe she has the title of Poor Widow. And Poor Widow Sally's husband used to be one of the biggest apple farmers around. So now of course, if this is a one shot, this might be kind of a long one shot because we have our side quest. If you didn't just want to resolve it there initially, with suddenly one villain turning into two for the final boss fight, and you could call it there. You absolutely could. We're making a little bit longer form adventure with this other act now of research, of going through maybe kind of a haunted house, something weird, and we discover the crimes. Maybe even that old man McGillicuddy and her husband might have been in on something. They might have been in cahoots to breed a better apple that would put everyone else out of business, or something along those lines. And after he died, he couldn't have a proper administration of the alchemical substance, and so the trees kind of awakened or turned sour, or something along those lines. And she was still eating apples from the orchard like she did ever since they met 160 years ago. We're talking halflings and dwarves, so, you know. And she's still been drinking the cider, eating the apples of these, that they've become contaminated, especially now that they haven't gone through the complete transformation like some others. Now we have dirt. Now we have leverage. Our person had a plan that was ironclad to common villagers who accept what's going on in the world. But we're the good guys, and we're going to confront this. We're going to go to the creepy places. And you know what? We don't want to have to dig up dirt on the passed away husband of a crazy widow, even if she did betray us. But we're going to learn the history of this area, and it's going to come alive around your players. They're going to feel hooked into it. They're going to feel like they're a part of something bigger and greater. Now we have the leverage. Now we have the confrontation. And there we go. Found the lore of Angry Orchard ciders. Yes, the secret recipe. You know, if you look at a bottle of Angry Orchard, that's kind of what we're describing, isn't it? Haunted by grief? Yes, Victor, what's going on? Would it make sense that kobolds were born from stolen dragon gold? I don't see why it wouldn't. Victor, you're writing fantasy. As long as you can provide a halfway reasonable explanation, anything can be anything. So why wouldn't kobolds be hatched from, you know, stolen coins or gems that were, you know, infused with draconic presence? And whether or not that actually happened, maybe that's what people just believe, or what they're told by the kobolds. Justin said, oh, Sally and her husband figured out that the trees were aware. Her husband decided to stop harvesting them, and she freaked and killed him in the grove. Oh, so maybe she panicked. She panicked at the fortune. Maybe she had a little bit of greed. Justin, I love it. It's a good idea. So in this case, it's not so much a mystery that we're making. Whoop, we got to go up. It's not just a mystery, but this one is more of a tale of intrigue. So here's advice on creating mystery. Here's advice on creating intrigue. Who has influence? Do you have a villain, or are there many villains? Which there very well may. Oh, you're going to name your red dragon Iwi? I love it. Oh, thank you, Raven. That's a great shout out. Here, I have a red dragon for you with just such a reaction to that. Ta-da! With a couple dice rolls, and even for those of you who knew little to nothing about our holiday, about the setting, or whatever, because we're focusing on thematic storytelling, the details are cool. The story's the story. Right? All right, everyone. It's time to get up. Let's take a break. I'm going to get up and take about a 10-minute break. Refresh yourselves. You know, if you got to use the restroom, get a drink or a snack, just whatever. And when we come back, we're going to make adventures for our last 2 holidays for Open Arches, which is sort of a Thanksgiving / tailgating kind of food and sports festival, and Veil Pass, which is kind of a combination of Dia de los Muertos and Valentine's Day. And we're going to have a lot of fun with this, everyone. So for those of you who are still here off the raid, stick around, continue giving us a chance, and I hope that we're gonna keep wowing you, okay? You're gonna have a good night. All right, Crumdrade, thanks for joining us. You had awesome ideas, and I appreciate your participation as well. So we'll be back soon, everyone.